picture this. Sorry, you have 3 council members that are up for re-election, potentially if they run for election. So you have 3 seats open. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your opportunity to vote in the right people in order to have your best interest. Who are these candidates going to be? I don't know, but this is a topic that needs to be brought up to every single candidate that's going to be running for city council next.
We have a bunch of callers calling in, so the lines are open. And
lines are open. Can we take the next? Oh, actually, you say.
Yeah, let me see. Going back to Beth, I think the concern with Beth and many others is that anytime where we're studying this, the study always leads to something. I think and because like you can't say she's expecting a yes or no response from you, which you obviously cannot. Today maybe it's a no, but tomorrow it could be yes, and that's the concern. It sounds like the citizens of, for example, like Beth have. It's that the study is going to lead to, well, the study makes sense. It's not going to affect traffic that much, so yeah, why not build this whatever number of units at this parking location? That's the thing. Can you reassure, or anybody reassure the city of Glendale, that the residents of the city of Glendale, that no, we do not have any plans of
at least the people of Montrose?
Yeah, because here's the thing. And with those studies, are you able to go to the state and say, listen, we've done the studies. We don't think we could build, for example, potentially 500 unit here in Montrose or a 200 unit here. It's just traffic is going to be too much. The city can't, whatever, the water power can't support it. Trash can't support it, so-and-so can't support it. Can you take that, or is that study only done to support so you can sell to the people as far as why it's okay to build here?
No, I think that's an excellent point. And we've done this in other regards, and that's the beauty in these kind of studies, is that hopefully if that were to come, right, we heard something from the state in terms of how they wanted to push any specific change, we could hold that up and say, we don't have the capacity, right? There are plenty of housing bills, there are plenty of very heavy-handed bills that have come down that we as a city have opposed. SB 79 is a good example. In fact, we did 2 versions of our opposition to it where we got very specific. And in fact, they started working with us to amend the language to that bill. And I think that to that question, that is one of the useful elements of this, is that if we study it, it doesn't mean we're going to, it doesn't mean we have to do it, but maybe it gives us the information to say we could never do it, right? We don't have the capacity for it, at least not right now or not for a while. And what I would say is, I know there's a lot of concerns, especially when people see a study, when they see pictures, when they see writings, when they see renderings, they think it's a done deal, right? It's just going to move along. And I would go back to 2018, and the very first presentation I gave to the city council, not this current one, but a different one, was for the South Glendale Community Plan. It's a study just like this. And there were 3 alternatives. There was a no change. There was another alternative that had slight changes to development regulations and rules, but not an increase in density. And there's a third one that had a massive increase in density in downtown. We did not go with that option. We studied it, but we did not go with that option. Again, I think when you see the studies, it concerns people, but it doesn't mean that just doing the study is going to mean it's going to happen. Right?
All right. Joe, do we have another call?
Press 1.
Yes, we do. We have a bunch of calls, so let's take it quick, please.
Okay. You're live on the WiseNuts. Who's calling in?
Oh, how you doing?
How are you, sir?
Doing well. I had a couple questions. If I could just ask Mr. Calvert, and I'll go back and forth if you guys don't mind. Is that okay?
Define couple questions.
Less than 5. So I guess my first question is this: the density that the city's proposing is 50 dwelling units per acre. That density right now is denser than the current densest density in the city, which is 43. So why does it make sense to put 50 dwelling units per acre right there adjacent to some of the oldest single-family neighborhoods in the city, as opposed to putting them in downtown, where the downtown specific plan is, where all the infrastructure is, where all the transportation is, number one. Number two, the declaration of the land as surplus. Surplus land, as Beth pointed out, is only required, a city is only required to declare something surplus if they have an intention to sell, which you've said there's no intention to sell, fine, or lease for a period of more than 15 years. So if you don't have an intention, if a city, if an agency doesn't have an intention to either sell or lease, then there is no obligation to declare anything surplus, first. Secondly, you've taken the second step, which is proposing an overlay, which allows you to build, in the case of Montrose, 50 dwelling units per acre, where right now you could only build 14. And on the lots along Verdugo, 50 dwelling units per acre, where you can't build any right now. Right now, it's zoned special recreation. It's intended for open space for public and private use. So you've taken two steps towards developing multifamily housing. And every time you've taken the step, you've said, but we have no intention. So an average person looks at this and says, you're taking two very clear steps towards development. And every step of the way, you keep saying, we don't want to develop anything. Well, then why are you taking the steps? Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
I think that concern about the steps leading to something is a very fair consideration. Again, us declaring surplus land, there were some parcels that say we're in downtown that, yes, we do have an intention of putting on an RFP and seeing what's out there, right? See if there's some interest. In the case of some of these other properties, when we spoke with some outside consultants, we had concerns based on their feedback. They're working with the state that if we didn't do this sooner rather than later, the rules could change. And that hopefully if we declared now, it would lock in rules that applied now if the state came in and pushed down regulations.
Kind of grandfather it in, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it is trying to have a crystal ball, look into the future. We don't know for sure. It's us being in a defensive position. But in that case, it was not to position ourselves to begin this process of trying to develop them. We have no direction from council to do that. Council has given us direction to come back considering the downtown properties. In fact, you'll see in September, we do have an RFP coming to look at one of the smaller lots down there to see if there is an appetite for that kind of project, because that is an area where it is appropriate for that kind of growth. I would touch on the density really quick as well. The 50 dwelling units per acre is not the highest density the city has. Tropico has significantly higher. There's other locations that have 73, 87 dwelling units per acre. Our downtown is pretty high as well. This is nowhere near those. I know there's some AI renderings running around a 7-story building showing up on some of these properties. That's not real. You would not financially, economically be able to build something of that scope and scale and height with this small amount of units.
And this is the rendering that basically was right behind the Montrose Strip, right? That fake rendering that was out there?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What was your other question?
So this land is currently, the one along Verdugo specifically, those lots are currently zoned for recreation. Special recreation is the current zone. You're proposing an overlay which would allow 50 dwelling units per acre. You've also taken a prior step in March of this year to declare the land as surplus. Again, you will only declare it surplus if you have an intention to sell or lease. Even though you're saying there is no intention, but there's no obligation to list this land as surplus, and yet you're doing it. And you keep saying that you're trying to grandfather it in. Explain to me specifically how this is going to be grandfathered and protected against some state crystal ball legislation that you're coming up. How are you giving us assurance that this is being protected? And if you were to protect it, why are you protecting it at 50 dwelling units per acre? Why not protect it at 5 dwelling units per acre?
What I would say with the declaration, again, it's not with the intent to do something with all these properties. Some of it, again, is to try to grandfather. Do we know if it's going to work? We don't. It's us making our best effort that we can there.
But he has a valid question there. Why declare it a surplus then?
Because our concern, and based on our conversations, was that if we weren't kind of grandfathered, if we hadn't already made that declaration, there was concerns that we wouldn't be kind of grandfathered into it. Again, we don't know if for sure that's going to work. But again, us declaring it does not obligate us to do anything.
And who were these conversations with?
We had some outside consultants we had spoken with. I don't have the names off the top of my head. It was a while ago. But it was various companies that we had discussed who we were going to bring on board for other real estate activities that we do in the city. And that was kind of the feedback we had received in terms of their engagement with SLA. And then in terms of why the number, just because the overlay district has 50 dwelling units, it doesn't mean that's what it will be. What we do in environmental reviews, and this goes back to that point I made about the South Glendale Community Plan, we have that very high end development potential, is that we're testing the system, right? I may put that 50 dwelling units per acre in there, and then I do the environmental review, and I find that the water, the power, the public safety are too much or disrupted too much. Maybe it comes out entirely. Maybe that number could be lower, but we have to start somewhere. And we have to, typically when we do these kind of studies, we set the bar higher, the number higher, so we can test the system as far as we can. But again, we may very well find out that 50 is too much. There's no magic science behind that number of 50.
But what if it's the opposite, Bradley? What if it comes out that, oh shit, 50 is actually, it's more than enough?
We didn't run the environmental analysis for something higher.
No, I know.
Right.
But hypothetically,
we would
speaking,
stay at 50. We would. That's because that's what's been in the environmental report. That's where we have to stay there, because that's what was studied. Otherwise, we'd have to go back and do it all over again if that number were to be considered higher. And I don't think there's not an appetite. There's not a desire from the council, from the community to set a higher number.
Okay. What's your next question, boss?
My next question is, who are these consultants? Because these consultants have some crystal ball that we really want to see. So who are these consultants? What is the crystal ball? And give us specifically how this is going to grandfather us in and protect us. We want to understand it like we're kids.
I'd have to get the names of who we worked with. I don't have that on hand right now. But again, it's not an exact science. We don't know for sure. It's us being in a defensive position rather than sitting on our hands and not doing anything. We had that concern, and it's a valid concern. We've seen this happen. I've been here for 7 years. Density bonus program has changed, I think, 5 times in that. We see this constant kind of reinventing of a lot of these rules and regulations that come down.
Okay. Did you have any more questions before we let you go?
No, guys, I appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you, brother.
For calling in.
See, my concern is going back to this gentleman's question, who these consultants are. Are they all LA-based consultants?
Yes.
Why aren't we going outside of Los Angeles County and bringing consultants in from maybe Orange County?
Is there specific projects?
Not that there's specific projects. We were recently in Orange County last week. We went out there for an interview. And when you drive into Orange County, it feels like a completely different, it feels like you're leaving California for some reason. The streets are wider. The buildings are built properly. There aren't high rises everywhere. And if there are high rises, they're in just specific areas. Residential flats are residential flats. Downtown is downtown. And Orange County has something going for itself. The people love living there. The traffic is amazing. And by traffic, it doesn't mean that it's just congested. It's just there's proper flow. Why aren't we going outside of Los Angeles and bringing in consultants from better areas? Somebody from Newport, somebody from Laguna Niguel. Why does it always have to be LA based? Because I remember you guys brought somebody in from Santa Monica. It's like Santa Monica has to get their shit together before they come to Glendale and decide to fix Glendale. Sorry, excuse me for my French.
No, it's absolutely true.
Am I lying?
And I think the reason why the viewers or city people are concerned and want the names of consultants is because ultimately they want to know, okay, are these consultants, more pro denser cities and unaffordable housing, or are they against it? Or are they being funded by somebody that
we don't know if they're credible?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We need to make sure. Yeah, I think
that's a fair question.
That's probably one of the reasons why they're asking to find out who these consultants are, because ultimately, a lot of issues that take place, you start digging into it, and you find out, oh, okay, this consultant or this organization is being funded by so and so, who has this agenda, and now all of a sudden you understand, okay, now it makes sense. Okay, we need to fight against it.
Yep.
Whereas if you know what their intentions are, what their track record is, you can be put at ease, like, all right, this is not going to happen with our city. This is not what the intentions are. So I think that's what the concern is of some of the viewers now and this last caller as well. If you enjoyed this short clip, go ahead and click here to watch the full episode. And make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel to watch all other episodes of the WiseNuts podcast.